You should not rebuild an application just because a new technology comes on the market. New programming environments may have glossy surfaces, but they rarely provide major improvements in programmer productivity. The sad thing is, we have actually gone backward during the past 20 years. We have gone from 4th-generation languages to 3rd-generation languages. Remember the old saying, you can always tell who the pioneers are. They are the ones with the arrows in their back. Some years ago, vendors began to push the client-server architecture as a replacement for mainframes. Billions of dollars were wasted before people realized that the toy computers simply weren't up to the job. In more recent years, some people have been saying that everything has to have a web interface. If you have worked with web interfaces, you know that they are often much slower than dumb terminals were 20 years ago. Many companies are suffering from reduced productivity by every employee who uses web applications. Another old saying is, never buy version 1 of anything. Version 1 of anything is really a question. Does the market want this? Version 1 often suffers from the perceived need to rush to market. This can be necessary because several people are often working on the same idea. But early versions can be buggy, and they can be short on features because the problem is poorly understood. Even good ideas sometimes die in the market. If you get involved with something that doesn't survive, then your investment is wasted. If your project survives this thought process, then before you commit, you should make a rough estimate of what it will cost. One good way to do this is by counting function points. There are many ways to do this, but I have a simple approach that I think does a good enough job. I go through an application and count all the fields and buttons on all the screens. It takes about 4 hours to build each field and button into an application. This includes the analysis and design phases, which should comprise about 50% of the project budget. I spent most of 2008 working in the back-office operation of a mortgage company. They had a large suite of applications which had serious problems, and they were wondering if they should rebuild it. I went through it and found that it had about 7,000 function points. Based on 4 hours per function point, it would take about 28,000 hours to rebuild the system. Because this company was being merged, the conclusion was that this was not going to happen. If you find yourself facing a large, costly problem, you may want to go back again and think about whether or not you can enhance or remodel the application. The basic question is whether or not the structure of the application is sound. This is particularly important in regard to the database. On several occasions I have been called in to work on applications where the tables needed to be connected like this. Instead, they were connected like this. This meant that the structure of the whole system, tables, screens, and reports, was wrong. It also meant that the child data did not have the appropriate keys, which compounded the problems of fixing it. Structural problems like this justify a significant rework because the system will never work correctly without it. At this point, you can decide whether the ongoing value of the application justifies the cost of rebuilding it.